Hey everyone, welcome back to the Triathlon Weekly News Roundup presented by TheFEED.com. My name's Travis, and as you can tell by that title and thumbnail, I'm not messing around today. Some big things to talk about, and we're gonna dive straight into it. Let's actually break it down first with that thumbnail I put up there. Maarten van Riel going to become Ironman World Champion. What made me put that? Well, I just saw his name pop up on the Ironman Cozumel start list, which to me just says if he's willing to do that a week after the grand final, then this guy is all in for Nice next year. He wants to get his slot early, and he wants to take on Sam Laidlaw on that course and become Ironman World Champion. I think this is huge news. I mean, what he's doing is unprecedented. Coming up from short course into the middle distance and now straight into long course. Clearly this is where he has found his footing, or where he's found what he is super good at. And with 1 foot already to becoming T100 World Champion, can he back it up in less than a year's time and become the Ironman World Champion? That would be incredible. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to see if Maarten can pull it off. He's got some steep competition there. It looks like Leon Chevalier signed up as well, alongside Cameron Worth, Bart Arnault, Chris Leiferman, so some other really good Ironman athletes showing up there. And yeah, that is going to be interesting to stay tuned for. But the one big question mark around this is, will it be too much? We've seen that a lot with athletes this year, pursuing both the full distance as well as the T100. And with more races than ever suspected for next year, I'm hearing around 9 or 10. We've actually got another one we've got to talk about today. It's going to be so much to try and do the World Champs as well as the T100 Tour, but he's really given himself a shot to do it by going early, getting that qualification wrapped up, and I think a lot of other athletes might be jealous if he gets it done early. And with this decision, it means Maarten is 99% sure not going to be racing 70.3 Worlds. Just seems like an either-or situation, but you never know. He could be tempted with names like Hayden Wild and Leo Berger on there, and guys like me have been dying to see all of them go head-to-head. So I hope he makes a last-minute call to go race it, but for sure it's not looking great right now. And with that, he adds his name to the ever-growing list of athletes who are pulling their name off of the 70.3 World Championships, including Sam Long, who I never would have expected to be pulling his name off of there. It seems like a course really suited to him, a biker's course. But yeah, it's just so late in the season, and with the T100 Grand Final right there, it just doesn't make sense for a lot of these athletes to do both, especially with the travel involved. Christian and Gustav also won't be racing. Their coach told Tri247 that the travel from Kona to there and Norway in between is just about as bad as it can get, and he's hoping that they actually take some time off and relax. So yeah, that's why I put that part in my title. I really do think T100 in the grand final has just overtaken 70.3 Worlds, and I didn't expect that to be the case in its first year. I thought it would take a few years for this shift to occur, but when the races are just so close together, and they're going to be even closer together next year with 70.3 Worlds being in November, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And it's, I think, too hard for Ironman to compete with, having these athletes contracted that they have to race the grand final. They've got the best of the best athletes right now competing in it, and yeah, athletes don't have to do both. There's enough money on offer at these T100 races and the grand final, and it's also a world championship race. So it just seems like the 70.3 Worlds is going to be something that I think will fade off in importance as years go by. But I'm so glad this year there's so many names that are worth watching on both the men's and the women's side who are not in the T100 series right now, that I think it's just going to be a cracker. The likes of Hayden Wild, Leo Berger, Carolyn Pohl, Solveig Lovseth, Casper Storns, the list goes on and on. So yeah, this year I think is going to be the best 70.3 Worlds for a while. But yeah, let me know what you think about that down below. Oh, and real quick, one more name I've got to add on to there, Lionel Sanders. It looks like he has changed his mind and is going to race that race, teasing us a little bit on social media. I am so excited to see how he goes on that course. I think it's suited for him as well. And last time out, he was really robbed of a good result. We all remember that imaginary center line calling. So hopefully he can get some revenge on that, and also his performance in Kona. Okay, those were two big points to start us off with. So let's take a breather for a second, because I wanted to tell you guys that it has been over 2 years of doing this Triathlon Weekly News Roundup, and from the bottom of my heart, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I had no idea when I started this channel just over 2 years ago where it would have led me, how many of you I would have got to meet. Not sure how long I could keep this going, but my passion is definitely still burning for it. I have so many things that I've wanted to do with this channel. I think I've said quite a few to you guys, but I haven't been able to do them just yet. So thank you for your patience with the videos, and let's get back to it. Okay, so next thing on the title, we're still talking about Ironman. Big names have dropped off of the Pro Series. Patrick Lange being one who's decided to call it quits this year and rest his points where they are. We talked about that last week. This means Gregory Barnaby, Matthew Marquardt, Christian Hogenhaug, these guys have the best chance now of overtaking him to become the first Pro Series champion. And that's just crazy to me considering how much money is on the line for that first spot and the title of becoming the first Pro Series world champion. So that shows me two things. Patrick Lange is a much more content, patient person than I probably am, but it maybe also shows me that the Pro Series is not quite there, not quite prestigious enough in its first year, and it does push its athletes to the very end of the year. It's a long season to do the Ironman Pro Series. I think this is why the other big name to drop off for next year that I've heard is Joe Skipper. He said it in his podcast.
I'm not going to pursue the IronMan Pro Series. To me, it's too much traveling.
3 Ironman races plus 2 70.3s where he doesn't always compete so well, and you really can't have too many low scores in this series as a whole in order to compete for the top prize money, and it overall just wasn't worth it to him, even though he's going to be racing Ironman South Africa next year, which is a Pro Series race, as well as Ironman Nice. That is big news, and it'll be interesting to see how the Pro Series adapts over the years to come. I really thought they might change the requirements this year, but they've stuck to their guns, and yeah, we'll see how that plays out and whether more athletes decide to go for it or not next year. Okay, we're on to the big one then. The grand final is here, and just take a look at the strength of field scores on the men's and the women's side. It speaks for itself. I mean, just look at this women's race. Taylor Knibb, Ashley Gentle, Julie Duran, Kat Matthews, Flora Duffy, Laura Phillip, India Lee, the list just goes on and on. Could be the greatest middle distance race ever. Such a pity Lucy Charles-Barkley isn't there. That would definitely seal the case for that. I do think that this could be the race where Taylor is challenged to the very end because it is very technical. They've just released the course map and there are so many turns in certain sections, and we've even seen Sam Long in his recent video specifically mention this and say he's practicing for it. I was in Las Vegas watching Taylor through all the tight sections, and I was surprised by how slow she was going through them in comparison to other athletes, and she said that a lot herself, how it's something that she's working on. She's got a specific coach for that to work on bike skills, so you know, this will be a great test for that. But with Julie Duran getting more and more comfortable on the TT bike, and with her background in short course, this will be a great advantage for her. And I don't think she's intimidated by Taylor like a lot of the other athletes are, and I think Ashley is one of those. However, another advantage though for Ashley here is the fact that it's really hot and humid in Dubai, and if you remember back in Dallas a couple years ago, Ashley got the better of her in the heat. Another one to keep an eye out for is Flora Duffy. She showed how good she is at Las Vegas, and with this tight course as well, that'll favor her. So she is a pick for a lot of people, I think, for this one. She's obviously getting more and more used to it. But with so much on the line at this grand final, there's going to be more names that appear that I should have talked about more. But one big thing I wish is that the PTO had better course previews for the races ahead of time so we could kind of see how it looks, what the elevation was, and you know, that's something that the fans would really appreciate. But moving on to the men's side, and as I said, Martin's really got one hand on the title already. He's got to finish 4th or worst, and Magnus has to win it in order for him to take the title, but you just don't see that happening off of Kona. Also, forgot to mention real quick, Sam Laidlow has pulled out as of now, trying to push the run after Kona, picked up another tear, this one in his hamstring. And then, I forgot to mention also on the women's side, Chelsea Sodara has also pulled out of that race. So a couple dropouts as of now. There always is some more. And already I was right as I was editing this. Daniel Baekkegard sadly is the next one to pull off the start list, with Justus Nieschlag getting such an important wild card for him. Well deserved after his third in Las Vegas, but everybody was wondering, why wasn't it Jelle Gaines? But he did reply to the post on Instagram saying that he did get the call to race, but he was in Doha and wasn't able to change flights. So such a near miss to have Jelle in the race, and that, as we know, could have changed everything. But like I said, there's so much more on the line here, and this is where things get really interesting because there's 10 contracts on the line here for next season. And then it rolls down to the next 6 highest on the PTO rankings, or there's also a stipulation that they can pick an athlete based on the best standout performances of the year. So there are some athletes who are right on the cusp of this, the likes of Daniel Baekkegard, Aaron Royal, and Jason West. Huge shout out to Triathlon Insights and his Instagram for putting up this post. He also has an awesome YouTube channel. Definitely go check that out. But those are the names on the men's side who are pretty up in the air, who will be fighting so hard for these spots. Then also on the women's side, Flora Duffy, Taylor Spivey, they're not guaranteed just yet to be in it, but you'd have to imagine they will get enough points from this race to be there. Laura Madsen, Marjolaine Pierre, they're on the start list here. Kate Curran as well. Don't think she'd get a spot, but she could get a lot of points here. So thankfully, the PTO will have virtual standings for this one, so you can track as the race is going on how the series is unfolding, and they should cover it in commentary. Hopefully this will give them enough to talk about the race going on in the back of the field. But with that, finally onto my picks for the race, and don't forget to head to the website to make yours. But I've gone with Martin and Taylor to clinch the titles. But I think this one will be so close for them to win it. I don't think they'll run away with it like they have in the past. And I'm going with Yuri in second place. He's gonna unleash a crazy run here. I think this course will suit him. Kyle in third, and two guys I'm so interested in seeing how they go is Alistair Brownlee. Can he finally put together the performance he knows he's capable of at this one? And Peter Hemrich, also after his DNF in Kona, I think he could be a dark horse. On the women's side, like I said, Taylor to win it. I think Julie gets second, so close. Ashley Gentle then in third, just outruns Flora Duffy, who has her best race yet. And then I've gone for Laura Phillip in fifth place. Kat, unfortunately, Mark said, has had a cold leading up into this one, hasn't done any heat prep, so I've left her off of there. And then India for me is the dark horse of it all. Where does she finish here? Where does she end up in the overall standings? She could definitely come away with a big payday if she has a good performance here. Taking a quick break to announce an exciting new sponsor for the channel that I am stoked about, Buycycle. They are the world's largest global marketplace for pre-owned bikes, and if you're like me and hoping to sell a couple dusty bikes in the garage this winter, this is the perfect solution for you. It can be road bike, mountain bike, triathlon bike, and even now they've released selling components on there. Buycycle makes selling quick, easy, and hassle-free. All you have to do is simply list your bike on the website, set the price, and then when you sell it, they'll even send you a bike box right to your door. Seriously, they want to make shipping your bike as easy as it can be, and they'll even include organizing a courier to come pick it up when you're ready. It could not be more simple. So if you've got a bike to sell, head to buycycle.com and get it listed. It's the perfect time to make some extra cash and clear out that space. I know my fiance wants me to. So for a limited time, use this code and get 30% off seller protection. All right, back to the video. But when the dust settles from this and all those contracts are given out, everybody is going to be looking at the hot shots. Who gets those extra 4 slots on offer for 2025? But oh my goodness, there are so many names for athletes who could get this. On the men's side, you're looking at Christian and Gustav. Vincent Louis, you'd have to imagine he's a guaranteed one. I think the T100 would be crazy not to pick him up with everything he's done. At just the caliber and the personality that he is, I think he's a guaranteed one. But Hayden Wild, Leo Berger, do they focus on WTCS next year? Do they put their hands up for a contract? Still a few years away from the Olympics, so they would have time to do that. Panayotis, we've seen him, incredible Greek athlete this year. I know the T100 wants him, but he's chasing the Olympics, so maybe not. But then Justus Nieschlag, Menno Koolhaas, Jack Moody's just won the challenge bonus. And then Casper Storn, someone like him who has a great performance at 70.3 Worlds, he could be in with a shout. On the women's side, Georgia Taylor Brown's racing 70.3 Bahrain with Vincent Louis. She pulls off a performance there. Maybe she'd want to do the T100. Jess Learmoth, we talked about her last week. Solveig Loveseth, another one, 70.3 Worlds. Kate Woffs racing Laguna Phuket this weekend. Maybe she's eyeing up the T100. Lena Meisner and Alana Siffert. Those are other names I'm keeping an eye out for. It is going to be the world's hardest job to select those athletes. And actually, Pro Tri News suggested such a brilliant idea where they should do a race-off at the first event of the year where they invite all these athletes, and whoever finishes, in the highest 4 spots, they get the contract. And I brought this challenge island race up probably a couple months ago on Serbani Yas, where there was going to be a cruise ship next to the island, do your triathlon, and then you stay on the cruise ship. But back then it was more of a concept, but now it's actually happening. The registration is open, and we've learned a lot more thanks to a brilliant Tri247 article. Where on this island, there are 17,000 free roaming animals, including the likes of cheetahs. It sounds absolutely insane. And I thought the price for it would reflect it, but it's actually a lot less than I thought it was going to be. For the full distance race, the Ironman distance race, it's only $450, and then 4 nights on the cruise ship is $900. It's still quite a bit, but I thought it would be a lot more than that. And it sounds like quite a good concept. And actually, I was thinking that this might be another great concept for the T100, especially for all those hot shots and wildcard athletes. I think you could do something like what the UFC did back in the day with their Ultimate Fighter TV show. You put them all on this cruise ship, and then you take them around to different islands or different locations to race, and then you see them interacting in the cruise ship. It could be quite interesting. Let me know what you think about that down below. But on the topic of T100, we got another location announced, not by T100 themselves, but by a news site. And it is Vancouver, right in my backyard. But of course, it would be right during the weekend of my wedding. Of course, I asked my fiance if we could move the wedding, but sadly she turned me down. Jokingly actually did, and the face I got back from her was not a great one. So I'm not gonna bring that back up again. But actually, if you look at the calendar, it is gonna be a tight one with San Francisco just a couple weeks before, and then the French Riviera race also just a couple weeks before that. So tight turnaround there. And actually, they just announced that French Riviera race is going to take place at Freyas in San Rafael. So we're getting close to that full schedule now. And they actually estimate up to 12,000 athletes could participate. And speaking personally, in my opinion here, I think it is going to be epic. Where they're planning to do it is a stunning location, and I think this could be a crowd favorite. And then finally, the other big name to finish this show, and this is Jimmy Whelan. Somebody just let me know about him, told me I have to start following this guy. He is a pro cyclist that has just made the switch to triathlon, and he has some big goals. He's had some relative success in cycling, but nothing major. Has had some injuries and setbacks along the way, but he says he's still young, super motivated, and he's even eyeing a 70.3 Worlds win next year, possibly a T100 contract, and even the LA Olympics. And I was just fascinated by this. I can't wait to see how he does. And thankfully for us, he has a YouTube channel that just started. It's fantastic so far, and I can't wait to see how he does. So make sure you check him out. But that's it for this week. I actually had a whole topic on Christian and Gustav that I wanted to bring up, but we have gone so long today, so I'll save that for next week after the grand final. Thank you again so much for all the support over these last 2 years, and we'll see you in the next one.